Hey folks, this is the Excel lesson for the Ticker Tape Lab. So if you are at the point in your lab where it's time to graph your data, you've filled in your data table, this is where you want to start. The first thing I'm going to do is show you how to enter your data. So the way you want to divide your group up is some of you should do the position graph, some of you should do the velocity graph, and some of you should do the acceleration graph. You want at least one person for each graph. Excel has lots of shortcuts for things. So for the typing in of the data, you want to make headings for each graph you're going to make. And so you want to kind of separate out your data and not organize it the way it's in your data table. The first time for position that you have a value for is 0. And the second time you have is 0.1. Nope, 0.1. And you want to notice that those times increase by 0.1 each time. So one of the best tricks for Excel is it can recognize a pattern, and then it can continue that pattern for you. So once you type in your first 2 times, you want to highlight both of them. Now there's a square dot at the bottom corner of that, which you've highlighted. You want to click on it and drag down. And you'll see that there's like a number next to my cursor. And when that number gets to 2.5, you want to let go. And it will enter all the other times for you. If you are ever concerned about sig figs, there are buttons up at the top, and I'm sorry, this is a Mac. You'll have your own school computer for this, but it's largely the same. You can increase the number of decimal places that you have. So if you wanted it to be 2 decimal places, you could. And then you want to type in your position data. So I'm going to speed through that because you don't need to watch me type that in. And so once you have your time and position data typed in, you're good to go. If you are doing the velocity graph, you have to read the instructions a little bit to understand what to do. But the gist of it is, or the short version is, the velocities that you calculated happened exactly in the middle of every time interval that you had. So these are the first 2 times for velocity. They still go up by 0.1, and so you want to just pull down until you have all that. So they start at 0.05 and they go up by 0.1. For acceleration, you can do something different. There's no acceleration for 0 seconds because you couldn't have calculated it. And so the first data point is for 0.1 seconds, the next one's for 0.2, and if you highlight this, you can drag down until you get to 2.4. And you'll notice that every column has a different number of times that you had, and that's okay. All right, so now you're at the point where you've typed in all your data and it's time to make your graph. So here's the part where most of you might need some help. So to make your graph, you want to start by clicking on the name of the independent variable, so the one on the left, which is time. And then you want to drag your cursor to the bottom rightmost data point. So you've highlighted all of your data and the labels up top. Now I think Mac and PC, Word, or Excel use a lot of the same formats. So the next thing that you want to do is go to the insert menu up top, and there's a set of icons for charts, and you want the one that is labeled XY scatter. So it has a drop down menu. Your menu will look a little different, but the top left option will be a scatter plot. No lines whatsoever. And when you click that, it makes the graph. So your position graph should look pretty good. If there's anything out of place, you can go back to your data and see if you need to recalculate anything, but it should be a smooth curve. The first thing you want to do is make it big, and also this is going to help make it easy for Excel to know what it's doing when you print it. So if you right-click in the white space of the graph, you get this big menu, and you want to select Move Chart. You can select New Sheet and name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it Position because it's my position graph. Now, down at the bottom, there's 2 sheets. There's Sheet 1, which is your data, and then there's a new sheet, which is called Position, and that's your graph. There are several things to do here. So if you click once where there's words, you highlight the section. If you click again, it puts your cursor in there. So you can now type as if you're typing in a regular document. And so this is going to be position versus time graph. And that's fine. You'll notice that there's no axis labels. And so the menu that you want is up top where it says Add Chart Element. You go to Axis Titles, click on primary horizontal. Then you go back in the menu, click on axis titles, and do primary vertical. Now it says axis title each place. So you can like go in and change this. The x-axis is time and the unit is seconds. Click once, click again, and this one is position and it's in meters. Okay, so that's almost everything. We go back. So you notice that like I clicked out of the graph and now that option's gone. So to get it back, we click back in the graph. There's a new option called chart design, and then we go to add chart element. The last two things you want to add are the grid lines, the primary minor, and the primary minor horizontal and the primary minor vertical. We want there to be as many grid lines as possible because you're going to analyze these graphs by hand, and so this is going to make it easier for you to do that. The last thing you want to do is to add a trend line. So I right click on any data point and there's an option for add trend line. And then the thing you want to do is in physics, basically like unless it's a very special situation, linear or polynomial are the two types of trend lines you want. And so I choose polynomial because this is curved. The order should be 2, so it's a quadratic polynomial. You can't go below 2, you can go higher, but the second order one is going to be all you need. Then you can X out of that. And that's everything. Okay, so it's not everything. And I haven't done this until now, so we get to find out. So I'm going to have you do one more thing, I think. There we go. So I'm going to have you on your graph insert, go to the insert menu and click on text and insert a text box. And when if you've never done this before in Word or anything, when you insert a text box, you get to decide like how big it's going to be, and then it like automatically resizes itself. Oh, this one doesn't. And you're going to put your name. So you're going to put your own name on your graph. It doesn't matter, like you're not going to get any extra credit because you did that. But when you print it to the library, it's going to have your name on it. So if someone else from our class is there picking up graphs, they're not going to pick up your graph. And that's it. So this is your graph. I'm not on a school machine right now, so I can't show you what's going to happen. But when you go to, when you're ready, you're going to go to the File menu, which you probably can't see on this video recording app. Go to File and Print. The default printer is the main library floor, and so you print one copy, and then you go to the library and bring back your copy. And that's it. And so in the next video, I'm going to show you how to analyze your videos, your graphs.